Rams TV meet Tommy Johnson. Remember him? From the 1990s. And Tommy, had you not fluffed the first chance at Wembley, because you scored the second, Derby would have been 2-0 up in that final against...
It's my fault, wasn't it, Carl?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guilty as charged that
You'll
Derby
have to remind us what chance it was, because I missed that many. It could have been anyone. I think was I clean through? I don't know. On the edge of the box.
Yeah. It was a decent chance.
As did I.
Yeah.
I'm sure you showed it anyway. So.
Not yet, no, but I'm sure we will do. And then Simo put you through for the goal.
Yeah, Sim had a wonderful left foot, didn't he? It was just made the run down the channel, and Simo put on a sixpence, and then just hit it as you normally did. Don't shoot, you don't score, Carl. That was my motto. So
absolutely.
And,
we'll go through your career in chronological order, but actually playoffs are quite significant for you because you had success in them, and then obviously there was the Derby one. How much do you remember of that day against Leicester back in May 1994?
It was horrible. Probably the worst, it still is probably the worst moment in my career on a football pitch. And we'd come from Notts and we'd lost in the semis against Blackburn the year before. And then we'd had such a run, we'd had such a great team, the Gaffer and Arthur and Roy had, assembled a team, I think for 12, 13 million, which obviously nowadays is, you'd find it in the ashtray in the car, wouldn't you? It's loose change. But at the time, it was a big thing. The Gaffer bought a lot of young players and we were just starting to gel, and we had a great towards the end of the season, I think. And we were going into the Leicester game full of confidence. And to be fair to Brian Little, he put a team out which he probably changed his philosophy. He played the three big lads up front and they were just route one. We got the goal, we were playing all the stuff. As you said, I missed that chance. I think we could have had a couple more to make it 2-0, and I think their heads would have went and would have been okay. Got a dubious goal, when Jossie jumped up or whoever it was, and then they scored, I think, 10, 12 minutes to go, if I remember.
I think it might have been later than that.
Was it?
John Hawkes had a really good chance.
Hawkes had a great chance
to put Derby 2-1 up towards the end. I was sat behind that goal and the ball came to me rather than went past the Leicester goalkeeper, and it was pretty much Leicester went up the other end. Martin Taylor makes a fantastic save from Ian Ormondroyd.
And then Big Mo to bang it in.
Yeah.
As a centre-half, who was playing up front. Ironically, the Gaffer, Brian Little, signed us 6 months later, me and Charles. He wanted to get up with Derby, that was it. But I think after that, I remember I was on the pitch with Jossie, Paul Williams, and I was crying my eyes out because he's thinking, we're probably never going to get a better chance to get up as that team has been all assembled together. And I left, 6 months later.
Could you sense it was the end of an era?
Yes and no. I think I had another year my contract left. There was nothing said. I think nowadays contracts are sorted out a lot earlier, so it's nothing against Derby at all. It was, but you want to play at the highest level. I was 23 at the time, so I'd already had a big move from Notts to Derby, and as I said, you want to play in the Premier League, and I wanted to do that with Derby. No bones about it. But then you feel, as I said, I had a year left. Clubs had been sniffing, and we knew that anyway. If Derby had probably said there and then, sign a new deal, would you have done it? Yes. But it was lingering on, and then as it got towards Christmas time, and I think I played the first few games. I got injured for a while, and then come back and started scoring again. And I knew of the interest from Villa. I think there was a couple of other clubs as well. And the way Villa were at the time in the Premier League, established club and all that, and just wanted, and Derby accepted the bid. If Derby hadn't accepted the bid, would I have gone? Well, no, because it's down to the club at the end of the day. I suppose once you realise the top Premier League club want to come in for you, and you'd sense there was changes there. There were going to be probably more players leaving. Gary Charles left for me at the same time. Said Paul Williams left in the summer. Shorty left. He went up where I think he was Shorty went to Everton. So things were starting to break up with the team. I've always said, I think if we'd beat Leicester, I think we would have done okay in the Premier League. That was the thing.
It's just one of those we'll never know.
We'll never know, and it would have been great to have a go with it, because I think we would. The players that we had, we were playing great football. We were young, we were vibrant, we were energetic, we had pace, and as you said, we'll never know. It would have been nice to have a go though.
You sort of crept into the playoffs, I think finished in 6th place, and then faced Millwall in two, I guess, never to be forgotten ties.
Yeah.
One at the baseball ground and one in front of lots of crowd trouble down at the New Den. But the home leg at the baseball ground, the team demonstrated that day its ability to win and win well, because Millwall had finished a lot of points ahead of Derby that season.
But we were confident. We were, and we went into the game, and as you said, Millwall were flying as well. But we played brilliant. The crowd were unbelievable. The atmosphere, I remember the atmosphere. It was great anyway, playing at the baseball. But it was full to the rafters, and from the start to finish, it was brilliant. And then when I think Sid scored the first goal, then Gordon Cowans, I got the second, and you knew then. I think Mick McCarthy come out and after said, "Oh, they've done a lap of honour, they thought they've won," and we hadn't. We were just going round and thanking the fans because it was the last game of the season at the baseball. And then we went down there, and did I score first or Gabby score first? I can't remember. Oh, Gabby, I think Gabby Marco scored first, and then I scored. I think we were 2-0 up after 10-15 minutes.
Tie over, wasn't it?
And I was fortunate for me, I was on the halfway line most of the time, so when the crowd was invaded, I could get off quick.
Good positioning.
Oh, it was great positioning, yeah. But that's the way it was. I don't remember after the game, we didn't get away from the ground until 1 o'clock in the morning, and your car got tipped over, if I remember right. Were you in it?
No, fortunately not. No. I was making my way down from up in the press box down to the side of the pitch, and you looked out in glass out into the car park at Millwall. It was just a sea of people, and I've seen the distance. Oh, there's a car being turned over. Oh dear, it's our car.
Yeah.
You think, well, there's nothing you can do about it. It was a strange old night, but again, 2 games where that Derby team showed what they could do, and I was absolutely confident that you would beat Leicester in that final.
We all were. And the worst thing was coming back up the motorway afterwards. That'll live forever.
The scarves.
Yeah, it's the worst day I've had on a pitch, apart from getting injured. But losing wise and.
But you were used to winning at Wembley with Notts.
Yeah, we'd done it. I mean, Shorty had done it the 2 years previous, so. Well, I think it was the year before. I think my first one was 1990, so I was 19. And then you do it at 20, and then you've done it at 23, and you think, oh, this is great. This might come back next year. Didn't happen again. We won the cup with Villa, but if you're going to go up, it's the best. But if you're not going to go up, it's the worst. They're great. They are great games, and the atmosphere. But there's so much at stake, especially the second one. I think the first one with Notts was from the old 3rd division again to the second, and then. As it is now, from the Championship to the Premier League, which for Notts was unbelievable. And we won, we beat Brighton. But it was more significant at Derby, I think. Notts were a smaller club, we weren't expected to do anything. But with Derby, we were expected to go up, and as you said, I think everybody thought we would.
If I remember rightly, I did actually write it down. You got 2 goals against Brighton in a 3-1 win.
Yeah.
And then in the Tranmere game, which was, you say, was
first one,
3rd to the 2nd division. Was it you and Craig Short got the goals?
Me and Shorty scored,
So the Derby connection.
Yeah. And Shorty's back there now.
Yeah. And you're a relatively young lad, and you think, this is it. I go to Wembley, I play football, I score goals, I win.
But Carl, you don't care when you're that age. As I said, 19, 20, you just enjoying football. We had Neil Warnock as manager. He was class. He was brilliant. He was the best probably manager I've had, apart from Martin O'Neill. And you just go out with him. It just made you feel, go out and enjoy yourself. I played a free role for Notts. It was great. And he used to call us brainless because he used to run everywhere, and that was me. Didn't care. And
not a care in the world when you went out.
No, it was just. Pressure's more when you move to Derby because you're going for big money, but as a kid you don't worry about it, I said that the more you get old, when you get older and you go to the bigger clubs, that's probably more pressure. And then when you get to 30, you think, well, why? Just go and enjoy yourself again. Don't know. That's the way I looked at it. You know, young lad from Newcastle, come down to 16, played football for me from when I could walk, not being told. So I'm going to enjoy it. You know, what am I going to do? Am I going to go? If I don't make it, what do? Go back home and get a normal job, as they say? You know what I mean? No, I don't want to play football. And so you're privileged. You're just privileged to play.
Did you do exams? Did you think about doing a trade, about getting a normal job, or was it football?
Just football. I shouldn't be saying this, should I? I should be getting a trade. Yeah, I regret not. I'd done French. That was all I'd ever done. You know, I enjoyed languages, so that was the only thing I'd done at school, apart from PE, obviously. But even the PE, I think in my options, I done trampoline, and you know, it was because I wasn't sick of football, but I knew I was playing for the school on a Wednesday night and on a Saturday for the school, and then playing for my Sunday team. So it was like, oh, I don't want to do PE football again in PE, you know what I mean? So I done trampoline, and I done French because the teacher was brilliant from day one. I had the same teacher throughout. Everything else, no.
I hope your girls aren't listening to this.
My girls, they're all right. Yeah, they've seen I've got my report up in the loft somewhere, and I showed them, and it was like,
could do better.
Yeah, if the usual footballer, if Tommy concentrated more on his studies than football, he'd be fine. But I was okay during the year. I loved school, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it. I could say to the girls, it's the best days of your life. You know, I've still got a lot of friends up in Newcastle, but I just come to exams and it was like, never mind. But I would say to players now, I went to college when I played. I've done a computer course. I've done Spanish, you know, the last few years, because when I do the European stuff, me scouting, I was mainly going to Spain when I was at Cardiff, and I just thought it's ignorant not to learn a language. So, but I would encourage anyone, if you enjoy something that you like outside of football, go and do it.
So 16, you moved to Notts?
Moved to Nottingham, yeah, Notts County. Stayed with a family, me and one of the other lads, apprentices at the time. And that's it, I'm still here. Well, I'm in Derbyshire now, I think. Well, it's half and half, isn't it? I've got a Derbyshire postcode and a Leicestershire council tax, so I don't know where I am. But we always said I'd move back to the area.
Yeah. Tell us about those early days at Notts County.
Great. My philosophy was, I come down my first time I come down when I was 13, and Jimmy Sill was a manager. And he took actually our first ever training session. So you come down, I've never been away from Newcastle. You're training with like lads who are on trial and all that, and some of the apprentices. And the manager's taking the first ever training session, and you're like, oh my God, I like it. You know, it's a family club. I felt at home straight away, and I didn't want to go anywhere else if they wanted us. And like my dad was saying, I went to Newcastle for trials and they wanted to sign us. I went to a few other clubs, but I knew straight away that from the first few days I was there, I said, this is where I want to start.
But Newcastle were the team you supported.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to go there.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it?
Very.
Newcastle were in the higher league at the time. You know, my heroes played from Waddle, Chris Waddle, you know, Keegan, Beardsley, Gascoigne. I don't know, was I thinking ahead of my time by saying if I started a smaller club, will I get a better chance of getting in the first team? This is me thinking. Plus, if I left home, if it didn't work out, I could always go back. Was I being mature saying that? I don't know, or what? I just thought, right, if I leave, I can go back. But if I don't go, I'll never know. So that was my thoughts. So smaller club, everyone made us feel really welcome. I wanted to go and explore the leave, you know. That was nothing against my family or Newcastle or anything like that. I just thought I'd get away and have a look, see what's like in the other world. Come down, and after moving around for a bit, we've moved back, so it must be all right.
That's a remarkable thing to sort of, in a way, not ignore, but not take what, I guess in a way, in terms of home life, would have been the easy option to stay and play for the team that you supported. But actually to choose, all right, albeit the Football League's oldest club,
Yeah.
Notts County, but clearly it was the right move.
Oh, definitely. Always say it. Definitely the best move I made. Coming down 16. As you said, I could have stayed up there and have an easy life. Would it be? Would there be more pressure up there because all my mates were there, my family was there, even that bubble of being at home? I loved it when I came down. I loved the people. I loved the city. I loved the club. Everyone was feeling so welcome. Not that Newcastle didn't make an effort. They wanted to sign us, no bones about it. But I just felt at home here, and I normally go with my instincts, whatever it is. I'm quite stubborn in that way, and I thought, well, I don't want to go anywhere else. What's the point? If I'm happy here and I'm enjoying it, and I couldn't wait for the school holidays to come down and train and help the lads do the jobs. And you were playing for the reserves at 15, you know, in the old Central League, and you were playing against men, and it was oh God, I've got to be quicker than him, or I'm going to get launched in a minute. And it was just stuff like that, and I loved it. And you know, I'd done a year's apprentice, signed pro, and it was a great start of my career without a shadow.
So 16 you moved to Notts, 19 you're scoring goals at Wembley, and you're starting to get noticed. England under 21 caps come along as well, and so do Derby County.
Yeah, as I said, we done brilliant. The gaffer was great. We had a great team at Notts. We had a great team spirit. We had a set way of what we played, which suited me down to the ground, because the gaffer says, just go and do what you want. You know, when the ball's in the opposition's half, go and play. Yeah, I was playing regular. As you said, scoring. The under 21s came knocking, and me and Mark Draper from Notts also got in. And then you think, is it, you know, clubs are beckoning, or they're not beckoning, or come to watch you. It was like Match Weekly in them days, wasn't it? And Shoot and all that, and you've been linked here, there and everywhere. And Notts at the time was, well, it's probably still are, selling club, you know what I mean, if they're going to make some money out of it, you know, and the bids came in. I think there was a few other clubs came in for us at the time as well. And once I'd spoke to the gaffer at Derby, Arthur, and I think I didn't want to leave the area as well.
So you were settled?
I was settled, yeah. Definitely, yeah. I think if I'd gone then, what was I, 21? I was 21. So when I came to Dorset, it's still relatively, you're quite young.
Age, isn't it?
Still a bairn, really.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm happy where I live, you know. Obviously moved house and all that, but it was 20 minutes to the Ram Arena, 25 minutes to the ground. You know, why? I've all my friends are here, I've made friends, I'm settled here. Why would I want to up sticks and move? And Derby, they were a club on the up. They were, you know, we said we'd spent a lot of money. They were attracting players left, right and centre. And even though we were still in the Championship it is now, I thought it is a step up, definitely a step up. Would I have gone, there might have been interest from Premier League clubs, but would have been a step too far at that time in my career? Yes, I would have said.
Mark Draper, there was always talk that Arthur Cox wanted to sign Mark Draper.
Oh, Drapes would have been the gaffer's type of player, definite. I thought it was if it was me, it's a no-brainer. He was my best mate. He's from Long Eaton, you know, and he's flying. Did he suit Neil Warnock style? Probably not, because of the way we played. And I thought if anyone was suited to Derby, it was probably Drapes, but it didn't materialise for whatever reason.
So you were signed, Marco Gabbiadini was signed, Paul Kitson, Paul Simpson. Quite a lot of money spent at that time to try and get Derby into the Premier League, which was just starting in 1992. The team had done well with the likes of Bobby Davison in there, Ian Ormondroyd, early part of the season. And then it just came together again at the end, but not enough to get automatic promotion. But I don't know if you remember that last day. It was unbelievably close.
Yeah.
Derby beat Swindon, and I seem to remember that Middlesbrough won at Wolves, and there was some doubt as to whether that game would go ahead, and it was a late goal, which meant you finished third and went into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it was
I remember
close.
it being very tight towards the end. It was, we've talked about it before, the playoffs. But going back to the signing, and you said we were attracting players. You've mentioned half a dozen there. You know, we brought Wass in, Charlesy came, Steve Sutton came, Hawksy came. You can reel them off. I think Lionel Pickering done unbelievable. You know, splashing the cash, as was said, and it was a club that was going places.
My old colleague at Radio Derby, Graham Richards, said they should have renamed Meadow Lane Pickering Park because Lionel Pickering's money for you and for Craig Short pretty much rebuilt the ground.
It's still standing at the minute, so must have done a good job.
Absolutely. So let's go to the first playoffs then against Blackburn Rovers, club that you work for now. And on the Sunday afternoon at about 3:20,
We were flying, yeah.
absolutely, you scored 2 goals?
No. Scored one. Who scored the other?
Well, it's 20 minutes gone and Derby lead
Might have been
2-0.
Simnel, was it? I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, Carl. We were 2-0 up, flying, red hot.
And Blackburn, by the way, in the February had beaten Derby and was something like 5 or 6 points clear at the top.
Yeah.
They'd slipped away and snuck in on the last day.
Yeah. We were confident going into it again. It wasn't as if they're a lot better than us, you know, and I think they were starting to spend money as well. We were 2-0 up, as you said, after 20 minutes and absolutely cruising. You think, hey, we'll go again. You know, it's great. I'm going to be back at Wembley in a few weeks, but as we all know, it went terribly wrong. I think it was 4-2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, away. But we still fancied ourselves at home. You know, we got a goal back, and you're thinking, if we get another one here, they're gone. You know, I think we were doing all right as well. And then they got the goal in there from a corner.
Yeah. Was it Kevin Moran headed it in?
Might have been. I just remember it being a corner and there was a bit of a scramble and bundled it over the line, and you think, oh God, here we go. And I think we had a couple of more chances to get back into it, but horrible.
What happened in the first game then at Ewood Park? Because you're 2-0 up, and as you say, playing so well. Was it a case of do we stick or twist?
Possibly. I can't actually remember. What was the score? Was it 2-1 at half time?
I think it might even been 2-2 at half time.
2-1. So I can't remember what we even said at half time. What do? Do you go for it and get another couple of goals? Which our philosophy was to go and kill the game. In hindsight, you sit back, but if you sit back, they're going to come at us to get the crowd getting on their backs. They get a goal back, and then they get another one back. So as you said, I think we level at half time, and then second half, what do we do here? And we lost another 2 goals, and in the end, it was too much of a margin. But
seem to remember David Speedy doing a fair bit of the damage.
Yeah. Little angry Scotsman.
Yeah. So that opportunity was gone, and the following season just really didn't do anything.
Didn't click, did we? Or
no.
Didn't.
Arthur Cox left.
The gaffer left.
Roy took over.
It was a funny season when I was playing. Sometimes I was playing right wing, you know, then up front, and I think when I signed, the gaffer liked us on the right. But in the end, I wanted to play up front because I had done it not well, even though I had a free role at Notts. It was, you know, I wanted to play up front, and I think even before that season, my first 6 months at Derby, like, God, it was a car crash, really. I knew on bones about I was rubbish, and everyone's probably thinking, what we bought here, you know. I just it didn't feel right. I wasn't. If you're winning, you're not getting the ball called. You're not in the game, and I kind of defend. We know that, so you need to get on the ball. But things just didn't click for whatever reason.
Was it anything to do with the fact, okay, 1.3 million's nothing these days?
Yeah.
You say, to use your saying, it's like loose change in the ashtray. But interestingly, Craig Short came same route.
Yeah.
Derby from Notts County, Blackburn wanted him, and Derby and Blackburn got into a bit of a bidding auction, and Derby won. And Craig Short says his first season at Derby, he says it was terrible.
Yeah. I don't know.
Were you starting to think about it then, that maybe it mattered?
It did matter after a while. I think at first you just think, no, that's all right. You know, you're young. As I said, I was 21. God, it's not my fault they've paid 1.3 for this. Is it really? That's up to the clubs involved. But as you start playing and you're not, and you're not producing performances, and the crowd's on your back, which they were, rightly so. I wasn't doing it, and then you think, God, and Bennett, I better get my finger out here. And fortunately, well, I think I did all right in the end. You know what I mean? But and I enjoyed playing on the right. But if you're not, as I said, if you're not getting the ball, you're not involved. You ask any winger, and things weren't coming off, and we didn't have the best of seasons. And I would imagine someone got injured first, because it was Kits and Gabby playing up front all the time, and I got up front and started probably producing more and scoring more. So, and that's where I prefer to play, especially the way we played at Derby 4-4-2. The football we were playing was brilliant. But as you said, that season it just never clicked.
Paul Kitson, of course, went to Newcastle, the club you could have gone to. Did you think at any point, I quite like a taste of Newcastle now?
I would think so, yeah, because Kevin Keegan was in charge and they were flying. Do you know what I mean? And they're in the Premier League, as it is. I'm older. Was I more mature? Probably not, but in a football sense, yes. I think I'd done, work my way up. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work my way up and not start at the top, because there's only one way you can go. If you start at the bottom like I did and then work your way up, and then it was just a progressive stage. And then when Kits went, you think that was the start of it. When Kits went, and you think, right, it was because we were all like, I think most of us got sold for profit, even though the Derby paid a lot of money for us. So I think most of us got sold for profit. So good business. I said Kits had gone. That was the start of people leaving, I think, when we hadn't got promoted.
Yeah. So Wembley came and went, and as we know, defeat. And you said this earlier, you felt that maybe this was possibly the end of your era, and maybe the end of the era for those players as well, as would prove to be the case. The following summer, Jim Smith came in, made changes, and Derby eventually got promoted. So turn of the year into 1995, and you sense then there is interest from other clubs, and that your time at Derby is going to come to an end.
Yeah. It was just before Christmas, I think. There'd been conversations and rumours and all that about clubs coming in. I'd got back in the team, I said before, I was injured. I think I'd done my ankle early doors and was out for probably a couple of months, something like that. Come back, I went to Lilleshall for a couple of weeks, and then we played, ironically, Notts County on the Sunday. And Roy's gone, are you going to play? Because I was due to play on the Monday for the reserves. And I went, well, yeah, if you want us to. I said, obviously I'm not match fit, but I'm going to play tomorrow for the reserves. So if you want us to play for the first team instead, of course I'm going to play. And I think I just got on a roll then, and up until Christmas. I remember playing Wolves, and Brian Little actually mentions this after I'd signed for Villa. We played Wolves on the Sunday, and we won 2-0.
At Molineux?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think Stahl scored as well.
Yes, I
Mark
remember
Stallard.
that. Yeah.
And I remember Villa were playing later on in the afternoon, I think, on the Sunday. And the gaffer was actually watching the telly, and he told us after, he said that when he made his mind up, he was going to go for us. So things, I think it was early January, because it was my birthday's in January. I signed a week before my birthday, so it was January '95. It was a case of, it was ready to go. I was ready to leave.
And you went with Gary Charles?
Went with Charles, in a joint deal, so it was, which was great. I wasn't going out, and that's when, not when the pressure starts, but you just think, here we go, I've gone for 2 million. I think it worked out 2 for me and 1 for Charlesy in the end. And then you walk in that dressing room.
And who's in that Villa dressing room?
It's Dean Saunders, Ray Houghton, Nigel Spink, Andy Townsend, and you Kevin Richardson, Sean Teal, Steve Staunton, all just being away with Ireland, and you look at Paul McGrath, Gordon Bennett, you walk in and there's God. I'm here, you know what I mean? I'm in the Premier League now, this is it, you've got to do it. And to be fair, it was nervous here. And you think, because you get that sense of, do I deserve to be here? They're all like probably late 20s. I'm 24, just turned 24, and that's my second big move within 3 years or something like that. And you're looking around the dressing room going, oh my God, here we go. Julian Atkinson, Hugo was coming through, Dwight York. And you think, Bosnich, you better get your finger out here. It's a big club now, you're here. And it took us a while to settle at Villa, must admit. Definitely took us a while.
You partnered Dean Saunders up front?
Dino in the first year, towards the end of the season, yeah, which was great. He was, we know what Dino was like. He's Mr. Bubbly, isn't he? But on the pitch, talked you through stuff. And you just watching him in training, the runs he made and why he made them, and he was always talking to you about, because I probably never had that. It was just go out and play. So it was great. And yeah, as I said, you had the elder statesmen who were always, they want you to do well. They don't want you to fall flat on your face because you're part of their team and squad. And they've just been to the World Cup, 94, so you're like, God, you're sitting around with all these experienced players. And we're 24, me and Charlesy, and you're walking in going, oh my God.
So did it help having somebody go with you? I mean, you might not have been close in terms of teammates and so on, but at least somebody was going with you.
Oh, we were close, without a shadow. Yeah, we all were at Derby. Well, most of us. But it was because we both lived away. Charlesy lived in Derby. I still lived in Nottingham. And then it helped. Mark Draper signed in the summer, and then Franz Carr signed in the summer, so there was 4 of us from Nottingham who travelled in together. But it's a great club. It was another step, no disrespect to Derby or not, it was just another step up going into the Premier League for one. And then looking at the facilities when you went to the training ground and all that, at that time, Villa's was one of the best training grounds around.
At Bodymore Heath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously, it's still there, but it's all been refurbed and all. Like most of the Cat 1 clubs now, and you just go, it's great.
What was wrong with the Ram Arena?
The Ram Arena was brilliant because it was 20 minutes from your house, and we used to have the bowling green and play five-a-side every Friday. But the Ram Arena was great compared to Notts. It was their own training ground, and everything was there, even though we still got changed to the ground. But Villa was a step up, definitely. It was. You're like, oh my, you're in awe, to be honest, Colin. As I said, of the players, of the place, of the stature of the club.
You've got to learn to live with that because...
Well, if you don't, that's it,
exactly.
It's game over. And as I've said before, I didn't start well. It was like Derby. So was it nerves? Yeah, probably. But you've got to, in the end, you've got to overcome it. Because if you don't, they'll sell you, they'll get rid of you. And you'll not be playing, so...
Well, you did play, and you went back to Wembley.
We did, yeah, with the League Cup. I think we finished 4th and 5th in the league when I was there. Great times. It was fantastic. As you said, we got the cup final. I got injured. I got injured in January, and I was out for 6 weeks. And I trained on the morning of the game, and the gaffer put a sub, which was unbelievable. I think it was only 3 subs then, so you felt part of it. And obviously, as the game's going on, we battered Leeds, it was 3-0, but I'm going, any chance? Get us on. I'm not bothered, I didn't get on in the end, but it didn't matter, I just felt part of it. And said we finished 4th and 5th, we got the semis of the FA Cup, we played in Europe. It was a great 2.5 years.
So Europe, and a taste of it, really a taste of what then will be to come, when suddenly the call comes to go north of the border. Now, how did that come about?
Derby had actually come back in for us.
Oh,
I
yes.
spoke to Steve McClaren and Jim Smith, and they were, shall I say, binkering on. They were not far from the bottom. And it was one of them. I said I've still lived in Nottingham. So am I happy here? Yeah, I'm happy in the area. Do I want to go back to Derby? I made the decision no. Because I'd been there before, and don't get me wrong, Jim Smith and Steve McClaren have done an absolute fantastic job for the club. But I'd been there, even though they were still in the Premier League. If I was leaving, then I had no intentions of leaving Villa. There was, like, I was supposed to be going to Rangers 3 weeks before. That fell through for whatever reason. And I was happy at Villa, the gaffer. So I said no to Jim and Steve and left it at that and just carried on. And then the phone call came. The gaffer rang us. Brian Little, he lived in Barrow, Ponsor, Leicestershire, so it was probably half an hour from my house. He went, come over, I want to see you. I was like, oh my God, what have I done now? You know, oh God. So I went over and he just says, listen, Celtic want you. We've accepted the bid. And we just sat down and just talked about it from about 7 o'clock till midnight. And the gaffer was, it's up to you. He says, I don't want you to go. I'm telling you because more or less I love you. You know, he did love us and got on really well with him. I'm telling you. I went, I've got to go, Gaff, because I'll just regret it for the rest of my life if I don't. It's Celtic. And he's going, well, there's a new one. If you want a new contract, I'll give you a new contract. You know, and it's not about that. I said, this is footballing reasons, and I was playing regular at Villa, and you know I was doing all right. I was happy there. You know, settled there, but it just went. Probably 3 or 4 clubs you would left to go to, and when they came, I went, yeah, I've got to try this because I would regret it for the rest of my life.
Rams TV meets Tommy Johnson. So you went with the old adage with Derby, never go back.
Yeah.
And though clearly you, as you say, you were happy at Villa, you just thought Celtic, big name, former
But
European
I didn't realise
champions.
about the Celtic then, or the Rangers that they came after. Yeah. I would have just been nagging and why didn't you go?
There's an interesting phone call I'd like to know, because when you were at Derby, you and Ted McMinn were thick as thieves, I think it's probably on one side. And if Ted could have bluegrass in his garden rather than the grass having to be green, because he played for Rangers and there was no time for Celtic at all.
Correct.
And you're going to Celtic. How do you break that news to him?
Well, I can't repeat on camera what he probably said.
Give us the cleaned up version of it.
It was, yeah. I think I would say everyone knew we were good mates at the time, and you're not going. It'll be like you're not going there. You're not playing for them and all that. You know. Well, I am. Yeah, I'm going. So there's a few. I would imagine there's a few swear words involved along the way from both of us, and.
What happened with the? So Rangers also showed an
interest.
interest.
Showed an interest. And my agent at the time had said Rangers, and Gascoigne was there, McCoist was there, Ian Durant, you know what I mean? They were flying. So, but I didn't get to the stage of going up or talking to them. So that was it. I'm one of them, Colin, where if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to worry about it. Or fair enough. And I said I had no intentions of leaving Villa at all. So you just deal with the circumstances as they arise as they come along, and it didn't happen. So there was no, I'm gutted. I would have went and I would imagine, I would have went and talked to them and see what they've got to say. But then when Celtic come in, it was like, oh my God, yes, get me on a flight.
It's a 2.4 million, according to what I've got written down here. You go.
What's that, Turkish lira?
I think it says pounds, actually.
Does it?
Whether it's Scottish pounds, I don't know. And you go north of the border. Was this then a case of the family has to move?
Yeah. I'd lived round in Nottingham all my life, changed houses. Obviously, it was probably the same. I was just built out a flat at first and then build up. And yeah, it was a stage where it was another stage of the development of my career.
Who signed you?
Tommy Burns. It was like I'm going from Notts to Derby, Derby to Villa. No as I said, keep saying no disrespect, but it was just like I'm going up here, Premier League. Now I'm going to one of the biggest supported clubs in the world, and they've got fans everywhere, and you know how fanatical they are, and you're going to be playing in Europe every year, no matter what. And when I went and met the gaffer, Tommy Burns, me advisors, they went and sorted everything out. Money's never been a subject that I'm bothered about, and I still talking about it now. Just let them get on with it. Go on, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm signing, so just sort it. And I went in the dressing room with Tommy Burns, and we sat there for 2 hours just talking football. And he's the most passionate manager I've had. And he was saying, and someone who wants you that much, and every manager I've played for or who I've signed for, they obviously want you. But just to sit down there, and he said, he's going to forget all about that. Let's sit down and chat, because we'd never met.
Right.
It's actually seen as a derby a few years ago when David Hay was chief scout. And that's how it come about. They'd come down to watch someone else when I was at Derby, seen me. And I actually think it was the Barnsley game. I think I scored, done all right, and they kept an eye on us, and then they probably thought I was too young then, which probably was 21, 22. And then they kept an eye on us when I went to Villa.
You actually had quite a few managers in your time at Celtic, didn't you?
Oh gosh, Alan, yeah. Off the top of my head, I'm saying 8 or 9 in 4.5 years. I'll go through them if you want. Tommy, Gordon Bennett, Tommy, Wim Jansen, Joseph Bengloffs, John Barnes, then Kenny Comeback, Kenny Dalglish. Probably Martin O'Neill. Go on, anyone else? You'd probably tell me there's 6 off the top of my head.
That'll do.
I know.
So we come to Celtic, finally going to win the title, stop that run by their great rivals. I don't know the final game, but I know who scored the winning goal to secure the title for Celtic. That was you.
Yeah, well, we'd stopped, when I first went there, I think we'd stopped 10 in a row when I went, Tommy Burns got the sack after 3 weeks, so it was like, oh God, I've just made the biggest decision in my life. The man I wanted to play for.
And he wanted
club.
you. And
the club, and I'm going, if I just dropped the biggest clanger in the world by coming up. And that's the way you think, Carl. You think, God, they've paid all that money, the club's in turmoil, shall we say, and it was a mess. I was like, what have I done? Wim Jansen come in, and for whatever reason, I never played. I went to Everton on loan, and then fortunate that was the year we stopped 10 in a row. Wim left, Joseph come in. Wim, what was it? Yeah, we had loads of injuries, apparently, and suspensions before cup final, so I was sub. Probably the last one pick. I better put Tommy something. So I come on, and then I snapped my cruciate. So I was like, oh God, what have I done? So that's even more. I'm like, oh. So I come back, and I think it was a year in total. I'd done my cartilage first, and then medial ligament, and then I snapped the whole lot pre-season. So I think from the operation to when I come back was 5.5 months, which was brilliant then for a cruciate. I'm like, oh God, this is an absolute car crash. It's no matter about losing form or the fans not liking you. I've had an absolute nightmare. The gaffer came back in with Kenny Burns when John Barnes went, and we won the cup, and I was playing at the end of the season, and then I thought, oh, they've given me the job, I'm cruising here. The gaffer come in, Martin O'Neill, and it was brilliant. No one expected us to do anything. Rangers were flying, and as you said, we won the treble in my last season, and fortunate to score the goal which won the league on that day in April.
Who was it against?
St Mirren. It's 12 o'clock kick-off. It was Grand National Day. I don't gamble, but you have a sweep, and everyone, your family's there, all your friends, and everything. I'm playing, and we played on the previous Wednesday night, and we knew if we'd win on the Saturday. So we played Dundee on the Wednesday, and I scored. They got it back to 1-1, and then Big Johan Mjällby scored with 10 minutes ago, so the place is going mental. So we know on the Saturday, if we win 12 o'clock, we're champions. Sky, it's on Sky. I'm playing. This is great. This is what I've come for. This is it. And then I missed loads of chances again. Gordon Bennett. And then Henrik went through. Alan Thompson passed to Henrik. Henry's through. He could have went through and shot himself. He squared it to me. I tripped over it, didn't I? God. I tried to control it with my left, rolled under my foot, gone under my right foot, and luckily it's gone in. And that's it. No one else is scoring. I'm not bothered. I'll kick it off the line or whatever, you know what I mean? It was one of them, and we won the game, and we won the league 1-0. And
was that a proudest moment?
oh yeah, definitely. It was. We'd all arranged, because you can imagine there's that many Celtic supporters clubs all over the country, all over the world. So the commercial side sorted it all out, and we said, right, I was with Neil Lennon. I said, Lenny, we had a dinner to go to in Ayrshire, but this is arranged like say a month, 6 weeks before, so no one knows we're going to win the league that day. But we'd all have said, right, get all the dinners on that night, and Big Johan will go somewhere, Stubbsy will go somewhere, Morton V, Course Creek, when Burls wasn't there then, but we'll all meet in town after. So it's 12 o'clock kick-off, we've won the league, I've won the national, it's, as I said, don't bet, and it was 66-1 or something. It was called Red Marauder, and because I've got red hair, that's how I bet on it. And then we just all met, and we'd done our dinners, and then we all met in town, and then all the women were out. They met us later as well, and that week, well, I can't remember most of it. You know, it was brilliant, and after all I'd been through, injuries, managers, loss of form, everything, and it just all comes together for that day and that season, winning the treble as well, because we'd already won the League Cup. So we'd done the second part, and we were in the final of the FA Cup, and we beat Hibs in that. So
a remarkable season.
Unbelievable, because no one expected Rangers to walk it. And the gaffer come in, and he was like, Warnock, his man management was brilliant. He had great staff in Steve Walford and John Robertson. And they were absolutely brilliant. They just gave us that confidence that we were going to smash everyone. And we did. We were unbelievable.
So you got European football as well?
Got European football, yeah. Who did we play against? Well, I left after I was out of contract, and the gaffer we'd already had Henrik there and Chris Sutton. Chris was probably injured quite a bit that season, and then the gaffer come and brought John Hartson in. And I just wanted to play, Colin, you know. I didn't want to be a squad player, and now I was 30, and was it time to move back to England? I don't know. Yeah, the weather's that bad up there. I would have stayed there, to be honest. We've always said, you know, it's a great city, Glasgow. We had loads of friends there. But then again, the weather's horrible down here, isn't it? So it didn't matter. I just wanted to play, you know, and the gaffer offered us a new contract. I just said, no, thanks. Am I daft? Or was I stupid? Probably, yeah.
But you still wanted to play.
I just wanted to play. I said, I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
And
so you played both Sheffield clubs. The one that I remember was you played for Gillingham.
Yeah.
And that myself, Ross Fletcher and Ted McMinn met you on a Friday at a Holiday Inn in Gillingham or Rochester somewhere, and played the following day. What was it like down in the southeast?
Lovely. Oh, beautiful place. Garden of England, Kent. We'd had Paige when we were in Glasgow. So what was she? She was 3, yeah. And then Niamh was born when I went to Gillingham, so yeah, she would have been 3. So we'd had Niamh as well. And what a place. I'd never been there, you know what I mean? London to me is down there. Sorry. But I thought Gillingham was in London, you know what I mean? Until I drove down. I drove from Glasgow actually, so you can imagine how long that took.
You didn't bother to fly?
You know, I needed my car, didn't I? I just thought, I'll just drive down to London. But I stopped halfway at Stoke on the way down, and then I drove down the next morning. And there was championship at the time. You know, I'd met the gaffer, Andy Essenthaler, I'd met the chairman, Paul Scally, and I just thought, I'm just going to enjoy myself. You know, the expectations at Gillingham at the time were probably avoid relegation, which we did, but we finished 9th and 10th or something in the 2 years that I was there. I loved it. It was just the injuries. I started picking up a lot of injuries then, and it was getting. It takes you longer when you get older, Col, to get over them. You know, because I was quick as when I was younger. I had a lot of like hamstrings and thighs and calf strains, and it was just getting longer to take. You know, I'd done my knee. I broke my metatarsal, and you just, you know, and I did love my time there. I scored a few important goals for them, like in the FA Cup and that. I said we finished 9th, 10th or 11th or whatever it was. And it was like Notts, it was a little family club. And the fans were great. We lived in a great place down there. You know, we were happy there. But on the football side, it just wasn't happening, you know. And I'll hold my hands up, and I said it was the injuries.
Well, one of those goals that you scored was at Pride Park, and I was talking to Michael Johnson, your namesake, saying that, interviewing Tommy, he says, remind him about that goal that he scored against Derby. He told all the rest of the Derby team, don't let him get on his left foot.
It is, apart from the goal, the most important goal I scored obviously was the Celtic ones and the playoff ones. But the best goal I ever scored was that one for Gillingham. I just remember turning and running, and obviously I was a bit more slower then than I was when I was a young'un. And I just ran, and the defence just dropped off, and I just seen the top stanchion, and I don't know, I just thought, well, I'll have a go from here, because I'm not going to run away again from anyone, you know, they were catching us. Just thought, I'll hit it, and it just flew into the staunch. It was, you know, and it had to do it at Pride Park, you know. And I think that game, the gaffer actually brought us off a couple of minutes before the end, and you know, the crowd were clapping and all that, you know, so that was good from the gaffer, Andy Hesson-Tyler, because I had great times at Derby, apart from not getting promotion. That was the only thing. But it is the best goal I've scored, yeah. Sorry, Rams fans, but it is.
We'll enjoy watching it. So pretty much playing days are coming to an end.
Yeah.
We spoke earlier, you said, well, I hadn't bothered with a real job or a trade. So it was always to stay in football?
No, not at all. Right. I retired. I was fortunate. I've done quite well out of the game, Colin. You know, obviously not as good as they do now or the last 10 years, but you know, I'd done all right. I said I wasn't never money orientated. Come from nothing. What if someone had said at 16, what do you have when you were 30? When I'd retire 35, what would you have done? What would you have had? I'd snap the hands off. Even though the injuries played a large part towards the end of my career. If it written down actually and said, this is what you've done, oh, I'd snap the hands off. So that was never, and it was daft things. I retired and I'm like, what am I going to do? And it was daft things like going on holiday whenever you want, taking the kids to school, which you've never done. Skiing, yeah. You know, it was the first thing I wanted to do when I retired. I've always said, I said I'm going to go skiing. Because I thought, it's right up my street. It's daft. You're going downhill at 80 mile an hour and you might fall over and, oh, it's great. So it was, so I think for like 18 months, it was, you know, doing nothing. Obviously, the missus is going mental and, you know, you got two little nippers, one, how old was I when? Yeah, they're both at school. We moved back here, moved back to Nottingham. Or Derbyshire, Leicestershire, so I see it. And it was going out on a Friday night, going for something to eat and daft things, and as I said, taking the kids to school, or I'll pick them up from school. I started learning Spanish. I was playing more golf.
So you were enjoying yourself?
I was, yeah. But then you get to the stage and going, you can't do this for the rest of your life. And then Notts came calling. Dean McParland got the job and Dave Kevin was his assistant. Charlie, Ian McParland, I'd cleaned his boots at Notts. I was with Notts with both of them, Dave. And they went, do you want to come in? And I, well, all right then. Well, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? So I've been out of the game for 18 months, shall I say? And they just went, well, we need a kit man. I went, well, that'll do me then. Why not?
You just wanted to be involved?
didn't say I would had any intentions of getting back into football, but it's apart from saying the language side, like the Spanish and French, it was, what else do I do? And it was just, yeah, all right then, I'll give it a go. If I don't like it, I'll leave. And I loved it, being a kit man, you know what I mean? And then not taking training sessions at first, but getting back into it, and probably being the go-between between the players and the football staff. And I thought, I better start getting my badges in, Anna. So I've done my B licence, I've done my A licence, and I've done my pro licence. And I'm involved with the coach education now, so it was just a natural progression. But as he said, what else do you do? And got back into football. So you're going from one extreme to the other. You're going from doing nothing, or not nothing, but, and then 24/7 back into football.
Because football's unforgiving with that, isn't it?
Oh,
once you're in it, you are in it.
You never switch off, Colin. I don't know anyone. Obviously, I've got a lot of friends who still play, and a lot of friends who have retired. And you speak to Shorty, Darren Wassell, Pat. You ask Gary Rowett, you ask his staff, you ask Saley. You know what I mean? It's. I'm sitting here now, we're having an interview, I'm thinking probably what I've got to do later. I'm going to a game tonight, who am I watching? I'm thinking, right, I've got to sort myself out and all that. But you never switch off. And that's good. Keeps your brain active, obviously. But there is a time, like, you can imagine wives and girlfriends saying, can you just calm down a bit? And, you have actually got kids and all that, which they say. But anyone who's involved in football knows it. It's just like that all the time.
So you had a taste back then with Notts County.
Went to Notts. Mm-hmm.
And then what from there?
Got the sack, as you do. So the inevitable happens. You either get the sack or you leave, don't you? So make no bones about it. So when Sven Goran Eriksson was at Notts County, and then he went to Leicester as manager. So and I'd left. So I started doing a bit of scouting for him at Leicester through that, and it just went from there. I'd done my badges, as I said, I'd done up to my pro licence with Northern Ireland, the FA over there, doing them in Belfast. And I liked the tutoring side of it. And so I wasn't full time at Leicester, I was just watching games. So I started shadowing the Alan Walker, who used to work for the Kent FA, but was one of the main tutors for Ireland. And he lives in Kent, but what he does is he does all the assessments for the lads. For example, Lee Camp and Bradley Johnson have done the badges with us, so the lads in England or Scotland, we'll assess them over here. So I just started following them, doing assessments and shadowing them, and then staying on after when I was doing my licence and pro licence, just watch what they do and how they do it. And I went, I like this. Is it giving something back? But it's just still involved in football. I can still do my scouting. Because Leicester wasn't full time, it was just watching games at the weekend. So I've carried that on now, and I'm a tutor for the B licence and A licence for the Irish FA, and I love it. It's not, obviously it's mainly in the summer, but then when the A licences, the lads need assessed during the season. So I do that, and it's great. I love it. And then going back to Leicester, so I started scouting for Northern Ireland. Sven left Leicester, so they had a turnaround, so we all left, whoever the other scouts were, I'm not so sure. So when I'd done my badges, one of the lads, Stephen Robinson, who's manager of Motherwell now, he got the 21s manager, and he asked me to be his assistant, so I was assistant to the 21s and the 17s for Northern Ireland, which was a great couple of years. It was
amazing experience.
Brilliant, international football, and then I was scouting for Northern Ireland with Michael O'Neill, going to just watching the players in England, because Michael lives in Edinburgh and he had a couple of scouts down here, so I was doing that as well. But the experience with the under 17s, and you look at them like the senior team now, how many we've brought through then. Oliver Norwood, Conor McLaughlin, you reel them off. There's about Josh McGuinness, I think there's about 6 or 7 who are actually playing now.
Well, there's been a real renaissance in the Northern Ireland senior
Unbelievable
team.
What they've done. Unbelievable what Michael and his staff have done there. And then it was a case, Cardiff came calling. I love the scouting. You know, it gives you a bit more freedom than being a coach, and not it, I said it's still 24/7, but you know, you can manage your own schedule, as I say. But I was European scout for Cardiff, which was fantastic. I could have actually went to Blackburn then and headed all up, but probably going back to when I was a young'un as well. I'm not ready for that. I'm not just going to dive in. I need to, because I was more or less part-time with Leicester and the Northern Ireland stuff. With Cardiff it was full-time, and it was European, and I love travelling, and as I said, I learned the languages. I've done French and Spanish, so it was like, I fancy this. I was away like 24/7, like every weekend I was more or less going to, if it wasn't France, it would be Spain. And the thing with Spain is all the La Liga games are at different times because they're all on the telly. So you'll get one on a Friday, you'll get 4 on a Saturday, 4 on a Sunday, and say 1 on a Monday. So you could watch. And
so you go out and watch more than one game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll just, my due diligence, and that is, I'll go through Segunda games and see who's playing. If you've got your Madrid teams, you've got 4 or 5 there, and then you've got the Valencia, I think there's 3 there, and then you can go down to Malaga, you can Seville and Betis, and it was just working out. And then you've got the San Sebastian area, obviously up at the top, where there's 6 or 7 up there, so you just work out which weekend, who's playing, get yourself over, top me 10 up, not, take the factor 30, watch the games, come back and report back to Malgate, to Cardiff. I loved it, because I love travelling as well. It doesn't matter if I'm in a car, on a train or on a plane. It doesn't matter. You can say I live a mile from the airport. It's great. So more or less I could just hop on a flight from here. And I love the European stuff. I think the first game I watched was Seville, and the likes of Rakitic was playing, who I hadn't seen before, obviously. You know, you think Gordon Benedict's quality, goes to Barcelona. Moreno, the left back, went to Liverpool. And then Bernard, another left back, he went to Bayern Munich, and you think, oh, this is great. I loved it. But the Cardiff thing, when Malky left and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer come in and he brought his own staff in and got relegated from the Premier League, and then Blackburn came calling again. Shorty was assistant manager. So obviously we're very good friends. They didn't have a scouting department, as we say. It wasn't, you know, that they had done in when they'd been in the Premier League, but I think it was a bit not the best, shall we say. And they says, will you come in and head it up now? And I thought, yeah, I'm ready for the next step. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. So like head of recruitment, chief scout, however you want to play it, at Blackburn, and I love it. I love the job. As I said, I can manage my own schedule when I need to, but as you said, you never stop. It's the laptop's your best mate, my satchel's my best mate, my scouting book's my best mate, my phone's my best. My phone's there, you know what I mean? You're just waiting for it to ring. It's not so bad now because deadline day is over. But you're planning, the fixtures come out this afternoon at 2 o'clock for next week, 23 games, youth team games, organising all that for the scouts who are under us, and then deciding who we're going to watch, speaking to the manager every day, the assistant manager, the analysts at the ground, going up, so probably go up once, twice a week to Blackburn, because I don't need to be there. I can do everything. Why waste 6 hours there and back when I can be on the phone, or I can be on my laptop, or I could be watching games.
The playing was easy then?
It was, yeah. In the early days. No, playing's the best. You can't, as I said, if you said at 16, what do you have when you retire? You snap your hands off. What do I have now, 10 years on, 11 years on from retirement? And I'm still involved in football, and people still want you to be involved in football. It's great. It's apart from playing, obviously the best. Would I go back into coaching? Never say never. Someone's got to want you first, and is it what you want to do again? I don't know. I love what I'm doing. I absolutely adore what I'm doing, and in my own opinion, the scouting and the recruitment side is the best job in football. You know, I've had offers to do under 16s, under 23 jobs, you know. I could have went to Ireland and been an assistant manager. I could have went to Scotland and been an assistant manager. It wasn't the right time at the time, and the managers who wanted us, you know, saying, "Why do you want to leave Scouting?" And I'm going, "No, not at all. I absolutely love. What's the next stage of me, of the ladder? I'm happy at Blackburn. You know, I'm head of recruitment. So unless one of the top clubs come calling, would you go? Well, it's got to be right. It's got to be right for me. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Do I love football? I don't know. Yes, I must do. I say I don't, but I'm still in it and I'm still enjoying it.
Tommy, fabulous to chat.
Cheers, Cole. Thank you.
Wembley final, June 1991. Was that the Brighton.
Second
You scored
one.
twice.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
You've done well finding these, Cole. They're all in a loft, in a bag. So.
What about do you keep memorabilia? Are you proud of what you did?
Oh, yeah, definite. I've got boxes, I think years ago I've got a Notts box, a Derby box, Villa box, Celtic box, and then the rest of my career, paper cuttings. I used to keep programme from every game. So there's programmes. I got my first one signed.
What about medals?
Medals are in a bank vault, because if you put them on show, I've got my cap, England 21's caps on show, but as you've seen, there's no photos or anything knocking around. The medals will be, it sounds horrible, but if we get burgled and they pinch them, what do you do?
Yeah.
So they're in a bank vault. Will the girls have them? Probably. What they'll do with them, I don't know. But as you said, these were all in a bag, and I should put them in, especially that one. I love that. You know, it's Peter Beardsley's testimonial, and Chris Waddle. And
was he your hero?
Waddle was me hero. Chris Waddle, who signed it, and Gazza signed it as well on the back, and it's Waddle's shirt. And I should get them in frames and put them up, but I'm never been. You know what I'm like.
I'll do it tomorrow.
I played football, so be it. You know, it's. I don't know. As I said, I'll give most of my shirts away. Like
I say, whether a Derby ones.
Yeah, I would have given them to my mates or something like that. I'm not one for. I've kept the ones where I feel, and that's no disrespect to Derby. We didn't win anything, so it was like. But that's from Villa. That's the cup final one when we beat Leeds in the cup final.
And is that all the teammates?
Yeah, that's all the lads who have signed it. There I am at the top. I don't know why I've signed it instead. But as I said, I should really get them in frames and put them up somewhere. But as you said, will I do it? Everything's manana with me, even though you won't believe I'm quite organised, but probably laid back on the football side of things.
And then, inevitably, north of the border, the famous green and white hoops that your mate Ted, absolutely.
He'll love that one. He'll be on soon, is he, Ted?
Yeah, he's next week.
Why don't you take him that one? Give him that one call.
I hate to think what he'd do with it.
He'd probably start wiping the windows with it, wouldn't he? Or set fire to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from the treble when we obviously we went through before we were at home, so we had the home strip on, and then the other two we played in the away strip, the cup final.
So this is the cup final of 2001.
That's the League Cup, aye. And then the other one's the FA Cup. So.
Happy days?
Oh, great days, yeah. But looking at them now, it's, you just look back on what you've done. As I said, you keep going back to the adage.
I still find it amazing that this is the team that you supported as a boy.
Yeah.
And you chose black and white.
I did, but probably the wrong ones, people say, but not in my eyes. That was the thing. I could have went back. Kenny was back in charge at Kenny Dalglish went to Newcastle, and he took Tommy Burns in as his assistant. And I wasn't having the best of times at Celtic, and I'd spoke to Tommy, and he said he was trying to get us back down, but didn't materialise. So I would have went back then. But as I said, do I regret it? No, I can't say I actually did, because I don't. I wanted to start at the bottom and work my way up, and fortunate for me, I did. And then when I got to the top, I went back down again. So that's no disrespect to anyone I played for. Would I have changed anything in my career? Just the injuries, I would have thought, towards the end. Late 20s, early 30s, started getting a lot of injuries, and they took its toll in the end, to be honest. But even though I still finished when I was 35, so he's had 19, nearly 20 years of it. It's a bit nostalgic, this, looking back, because I've never seen him, you know, and the stuff that you've got and talking about it and all, it's been quite good, actually, yeah. Hi, I'm Tommy Johnson. Catch up with my career on Rams TV.